You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, charlietrix, and I'm here with my man.
It's your boy jhanboom. What's poppin'?
And we got my brother.
Remise, what's good, everybody? And we're starting this week off with some animal stories. We always got the best
Animal assassin.
The animal assassins, the killer creatures, and jhanboom's gonna set it off. So,
yo, what's up, people? It's your boy jhanboom back in the streets again. Happy Saturday to everybody that's watching TFB. Shout out to our supporters, subscribers, nudes, and everybody. I love y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. We're gonna bring you some local news. You know, jhanboom loves the local news. You know what I'm saying? From cul-de-sac stories, beaver, porcupines. We got crocodiles, and now we got another thing hitting the tough streets of Newark. Besides crimes and robberies, there's another thing going on in Newark which took in the MTA by storm. Earlier this week, a bull was caught by Penn Station running around in the tracks. Now you're saying, damn, this is some bullshit. Same thing Newark said, but there was a bull on the way to a sanctuary that somehow during the rest stop got loose, ended up in the tracks by Penn Station, caused all types of delays and trains and people confusion. People don't know if the bull was going to attack him, but thank God they tranquilized my man. They got him back on the motherfucking road. What we got? One of those what's some trucks that they put the animals in, like they got the horses in.
I know the one you're talking about.
Like
I don't know what it's called though, but
either way, they loaded up the bull back. MTA continued. People were mad as hell because they were late to work. But anyway, your job ain't shit, so don't worry about a thing. You ain't gonna get fired.
He didn't last like the crocodile.
He didn't.
The crocodile was gone for a while.
Yeah, this was about maybe a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? But
can't mess up
traffic.
Because
two things.
Can't mess up our commute.
So
we'll get you.
Let me add on, Johnny. I saw this morning a picture of the bull.
Right on.
Like safe in a pen.
Yes.
With a bunch of hay being fed and made to feel comfortable.
It's way better than train tracks.
Yes, he made it back to the sanctuary successfully.
Yeah. I saw it this morning. I saw the picture on Twitter. He was chilling, eating his food.
Yeah. That's what's the good part about the situation. The bull wasn't hurt. All that happened was a couple delays. He got to the sanctuary where he was essentially on his way to. He got his hay. He got his hose. He's ready to go, man. Shout out to the Newark bull.
He got some long ass horns.
That's it was a dangerous situation. It could have gotten out of hand
if he would have stuck somebody.
I think it doesn't get into detailed how, but they did tranquilize us. So I'm thinking this from the top of the platform. Someone must have shot down on him, tranquilized him, then tied him up, put him back in the loading truck to take him back.
Yeah, so he was just stuck there.
He was just stuck there. Thank God, because imagine he was on the platform, he would have been fucking going ham on people.
People trying to get to work.
No one's ready for that.
Running of the bulls.
Well, there would have been a lot of sliders
8 a.m.
later that day.
No one is ready to get attacked by a bull.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Unless you're in Spain. You know, they got
especially if you're high, you're like, nah, that's not a bull. That's just me tripping on this motherfucker's sativa.
Right.
Nope.
God forbid you're wearing red.
Oh, God forbid. Bloods.
All right, we'll put one up. Let's put the bull up in a maybe section right now.
Got caught too fast.
Yes, he got caught too fast.
Well, he did thug it out in the mean streets
of Newark.
In the train station.
Train tracks.
In a very grimy area. So we're going to consider him.
The train was afraid of him, you know what I'm saying? They want no bullshit.
Hit the brakes. Hit the brakes.
All right, what else we got on deck?
Next story is a little bit more in depth. It's a oldie but a goodie. You know how we love our birds, our cocaine smuggling birds in the British Columbia. Pigeons sending messages from Guadalajara and back. Now,
roosters.
Now we got an oldie. Now this story is from 2014, but I found it. You know how I do, looking for a little porn, saying all of a sudden I get one of these in my algorithms, and here it is. So I'm gonna read a little bit of it. Y'all chime in, y'all let me know what y'all think. So this is a story back in 2014. Okay, so Nigel the parrot has said cheerio to his British-born owner and buenos dias to another family. The African gray parrot spoke with a British accent when it disappeared from a Southern California home 4 years ago. So that's 4 years prior to, I guess, 2014. You know, it's about, do the math, motherfucker. But Nigel spoke Spanish when he was found and returned to Darren Cheek of Torrance last week. That's down. I guess that's down the tough streets of California.
Cali.
Someone found the bird and turned it over to a vet who found Cheek by accessing the bird's microchip. So the bird had a microchip in his ass. So Cheek, who is British, and one more time, Cheek, who is British, said he wept tears of joy, but on Wednesday he gave Nigel to the Torrance family, who had kept the bird for the 4 years he was missing. The family member emailed the paper after hearing about Nigel's return and said that they were heartbroken after the bird flew away from their home earlier this month. And that's this month, 4 years ago, minus 4. Lisa Smith said her grandparents bought the parrot. They called Morgan after the spicy rum Captain Morgan, that the gentleman features a parrot on his shoulder in the motherfucking picture.
It's a way better name than Nigel.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go off on a limb on that and say he preferred Morgan.
Cheerios, mate. It learned Spanish from the Guatemalan grandfather. So the grandfather took the bird like my man took the Karate Kid in.
And the grandfather named him Morgan?
The grandfather named him Morgan.
Taught him Spanish.
And there was a little thing that he used to call him. Narrow macho. That's what the conversation used to be between the grand. When the bird heard narrow macho, the bird used to come. Says Ruben Hernandez, 86. Now, this is the granddad. Called to his feathered friend on Wednesday at the home of the Redondo Beach veterinarian who found Nigel. We're just over the moon, Smith told the newspaper. Smith said that the bird had become a special friend to her grandfather, especially in the 2 years since he lost his wife, unfortunately, who used to whistle tunes to the bird. The parrot is one of the last mementos from my grandpa. She wrote in her email to the Daily Breeze. Morgan's loss has been hard on him. And, it just didn't feel good for him, man. He lost his wife.
So it's like Paulie, but
yeah, but Paulie,
instead of a little girl, it's old grandpa, a nice
old grandpa. They found him.
I think the thing we got to point out here too is that obviously the guy gave him back, right?
Yes. So essentially, the bird was given back to the British primary owner, but after receiving the email, the British owner actually gave it right back to the family who has had the parrot for 4 years to be that companion to the grandfather.
Wow, good man. Kudos to him. Maybe Foxhoven worthy?
Could be, but this is, jhanboom got to put a little bit of input in it.
Okay.
He gets the bird back. The bird is speaking Spanish. He's watching novellas. And he's not answering to Cheerio or whatever British accent comes with after that. That's the only thing I know. And mate.
So what do you think? What do you think happened?
I think he got maybe tired of the arepas. The other bird wants a little bit of rice and beans instead of pork roll. What they eat out there in British. He don't drink tea no more. He wants Bustelo. A lot of changes. 4 years.
You think the cultural difference was too much?
He said, you know what? Fuck this bird, man.
I'm sending him back to Guatemala.
I'm sending him back to the Guatemalan
Get out
family.
of here, Nigel.
Which fits him better. Better name, better companion.
Name. Morgan, after Captain Morgan. Dope.
And they watch his favorite novellas that the bird likes.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Listen, shout out to the parrot for
bilingual
Nigel Morgan,
super threat.
Nigel Morgan dipping back and forth.
For sure.
He's learning languages. He's like keeping different families whole.
Right.
Yeah, providing a loving, caring companionship to multiple families from
now I'm
different
thinking
cultures.
this happened in 2014. I just found the story. I'm guessing Morgan Nigel, let's go Morgan, is probably still with the family now doing his thing.
Or maybe he, flew off to the next family that he needs to save, like Jiminy Cricket Landing.
Stay tuned. He might be in Russia next.
All right. Well, listen, I got a story that I want to add into the Animal Assassins playbook for this week.
These guys are making the cut, I think. These guys are making the cut.
This is a really interesting story. The title of this article, there's a few of them I'm going to quote from, but the main one I'm talking about is from AP News. The title is A Population of Hard to Eradicate Super Pigs in Canada is Threatening to Invade the U.S.
Whoa.
So check this out. I'm going to read a little bit from this. An exploding population of hard-to-eradicate super pigs in Canada is threatening to spill south of the border, and northern states like Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana are taking steps to stop the invasion.
It's not happening.
In Canada, the wild pigs roaming Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba pose a new threat. They are often crossbreeds that combine the survival skills of the wild Eurasian boar with the size and high fertility of domestic swine to create a super pig that's spreading out of control.
No joke. A super pig, they're calling it.
So there's a professor up there who's quoted calling them the most invasive animal on the planet and an ecological train wreck.
You thought lanternflies was annoying?
Yeah, this is no joke.
So here's a little backstory. The pigs are not native to North America, and while they did roam in parts of the continent for centuries, Canada's problem dates back only to the 1980s when they encouraged farmers to raise wild boar. They encouraged farmers to raise wild boar. The market collapsed after peaking in 2001. And some frustrated farmers simply cut their fences and let the animals free. So they let these wild boars out. It turned out that the pigs were very good at surviving Canadian winter. Smart, they adapted, and they were furry.
Okay.
They eat anything, including crops and wildlife. They tear up land when they rooted for bugs and crops. They can spread devastating diseases to hog farms like African swine fever, and they reproduce quickly. So they can have 6 piglets in a litter and raise 2 litters in a year.
So they
these piggies are wildin'.
Eat anything. They reproduce super rapidly, and
Crazy.
they spread hella viruses and destroy lands.
It's
Billions of dollars.
It sounds like Canada is Canada, right? It's happening.
Yeah, Canada.
I think Canada needs to invest in a couple leopards, tigers, and lions. Because the way I see these, I don't know. Now there are super pigs, so I don't know if the standard way that they attack a warhog or pigs, lions, just might be a little challenged. But the way I see it, get some lions out there.
They need some hybrid lions, like ligers. They need some ligers to handle this.
So here, there's a little. Pig. Here's how bad the problem is, right? This means because they reproduce so fast that 65%. Or more of the wild pig population could be killed every year, and it would still increase.
Whoa.
Hunting, the problem only made it worse. The success rate of hunters is only about 2 to 3%. And several states banned hunting because it makes the pigs more wary and nocturnal, tougher to track down and eradicate.
So the pigs figured out that they were being hunted and started covering up their tracks. They changed their pattern of behavior. These pigs are legit, man.
And even worse, wild pigs already cause $2.5 billion in damage to the U.S. crops every year, mostly in southern states like Texas, and they can be aggressive towards humans. A woman was killed by wild pigs in 2019. So eradication up there, they're saying, is not even possible any longer.
It's over.
But
they won.
They're up to at least 62,000 wild pigs roaming that area by Canada
that
and
is
the northern
crazy.
Border. But
in North Dakota, like right at that border.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And now the U.S. states that are up there are like, what the hell are we going to do? And they're trying to take steps to make sure it doesn't, spread like crazy. One of the things they do is as soon as they notice one, they try to go and attack that spot immediately where they find them. But I don't know how successful they're going to be.
They plant traps.
This is
Here
crazy.
it says that could include big ground traps with names like Boar Buster or net guns fired from helicopters. Some states and provinces embrace crowdsourced squeal-on pigs tracking programs. Scientists have also studied poisons such as sodium nitrite, but they risk harming other species. They're so desperate to stop these things that they're thinking about, can we poison these pigs?
Shit, man. They're about to drop a nuclear bomb out there the way they sound. They're about to do whatever it takes.
Why can't this bring the bacon price down?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Especially the apple wood. smoked.
Yeah, right.
There was a market, apparently. I guess it dried up in 2001. Nobody wants wild boar meat anymore, but I can't imagine that these hunters that go hunting for meat wouldn't want to take up one of these. I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know what I'm talking about, so who the hell knows?
Totally, yeah. Maybe it's completely different. I just think, man, I wish bacon was cheaper.
Now, I go right back to the lion situation, because you said when they start to hunt them, they go nocturnal and they hide and shit. Like, I seen the way lions, leopards attack these warhogs, the pigs, that they literally dig themselves into a hole. Like, the pigs they kind of like
burrow.
They
Essentially,
yeah,
just burrow into the ground.
yeah, they burrow right into the ground, hide in there. Motherfucking lions are digging up these holes and pulling them the fuck out. Canada needs what the fuck, camera? Canada needs some motherfucking lions out there.
Now here's the thing. Like, granted, they did say the pigs killed a woman once, but I think I'd rather have a pig infestation than a lion infestation.
No, that's what I'm saying. Strictly for the hunt.
So they just let them out and then bring them back in?
Get those special tigers from Africa. Get like 4 or 5 of them. Send them out. See how it works. Right? If it doesn't work, then get them out of there. Have my man with the tranquilizer sniper ready. Take them out. Boom, boom, boom. Back to Africa they go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to say this. On the lineup for today, we got 3 animals.
Pow.
We got the crazy bull, the New Jersey train
bull.
Newark train bull.
They're causing no types of bullshit.
We got the parrot, who this intercontinental dipping down south somewhere, learning a different language, and
every 4 years.
What if he's a spy?
I know.
He could be.
This guy, I'm suspicious of this parrot.
Yeah, me too.
His name isn't Morgan. It's not Nigel. It's James Bond.
Yeah, now he'll have a different name wherever he goes. People just changing his shit.
No, and he doesn't need a passport or anything. No, something about this guy. We've seen how smart birds can be. So
yes,
and he hid that chip for 4 years. They discovered him when he wanted to be discovered.
Yeah, he switched it back on.
First time to the vet, nah. He was doing one of those.
Morgan knows,
like he's plucking his feathers.
And then we also have the super pig. So let's do these votes for today. First of all, I'm gonna go with a hard yes on the super pigs.
Oh yeah,
there's no way
savages.
You can be that much of a beast and not make it. It's TFP.
Pigs join the animal assassins.
Animal assassins,
right with the pigeons that can sneak into
super
prisons. With drugs.
Super pig is in. Let's talk about the New Jersey bull. Well, what do we think about the bull? You know, he stood his ground in the tough streets of Newark.
Yes, that's standing on business.
He's got 2 sharp swords sticking out of his head,
straight up sabers.
And you know what? He shut down the train system for a couple hours. And let's face it, to get him out of there, they had to put his ass to sleep.
Yeah,
nobody was trying to touch him. So
fuck that.
It's a little dangerous, but it wasn't much of a wild kind of event
chase,
with him.
right? You know, like not like the crocodile. The crocodile was on the hunt.
I deal with 2-hour delays of trains plenty, so I've seen that before. It's it's annoying, but he just did a tiny annoyance.
Yeah, he actually did people a favor, because people that didn't want to go to work, now they have an excuse. There's the bull on the tracks. Like, I don't know what to do. I'll be there after 12.
I don't know. I guess for me personally, I'm gonna have to hold off on New Jersey's bull right now. He's got to do more.
You're on the wait list. Break out of the sanctuary.
The bull,
find another set of tracks to slow down their commute, and then we can start talking about this serial commute destroyer.
We want to give you that title.
The bull is gonna go hang out with Flacco the owl.
Flacco the owl.
And then
Flacco just wants love.
We'll get back to those later. But what are we going to do with this parrot? Let's talk about the parrot. I mean, listen.
Yes.
We have a lot of concerns about the parrot.
Yes.
So,
I don't know if I trust him with the rest of the team.
Yes. The parrot can be trusted,
but
he can do 4 years with a different home, infiltrate your home. You learn your language.
Make you fall in love.
Become best friends with your abuelo.
He can infiltrate the most sensitive part of the family, the grandparents, which is delicate people that we need.
He's in for life at that point.
Right? RP to my grandmother, you know what I'm saying? So
I don't like this parrot.
But this parrot is a spy, maybe, a thug, and an infiltrator. He's a burglar.
Yeah. He's a burglar.
Yeah, I'm Latino.
Listen, I think that if we're so worried about the dangers that he causes, then he absolutely must be.
That means he does.
An animal assassin.
He's got to be a killer creature.
Because I think if you mix him with the pigeon that smuggles cocaine from the British Columbia, which he already knows British, they get together. It's a motherfucking.
For all we know,
it's a drug trafficking in birds that we've never seen before.
For all we know, this parrot is the head of the family.
Yeah, we never know.
He's definitely high up the ladder.
He's some.
The pigeons are they're the soldiers. They're at the
Well, it looks like we have the votes in, ladies and gentlemen. New Jersey Bull is not going to make it this time.
We're sorry.
Sorry, man.
The double language speaking parrot,
the bilingual parrot.
What's his name?
Speaks bird.
Nigel Morgan.
Nigel
Morgan. The assassin now, TFP assassin animal parrot is in. Yes. And of course, last but not least, this Canadian super pig is absolutely an animal assassin.
Savages.
There we go.
Can you dig it?
You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
All right, we're going to come right back at you with some entertainment news for the moment.
That pop culture.
Somebody that I appreciate a lot is coming back out. Beverly Hills Cop.
Woo!
It's going to be the 4th installment. We're going to see Axel Foley back summer 2024.
Pow!
Eddie Murphy. I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan.
You know it.
When I saw Beverly Hills Cop was coming back, I got excited.
Yeah. So the original cast.
I mentioned this to you last night, and it sparked a conversation. So we thought it'd be interesting to talk about it here. And I think the one thing that popped into your mind first was, can he pull this off, right? It was like,
just because, bringing back these old properties, it's always a mixed bag. And also, like, coming to America was mid. It was okay. I didn't hate it, but, it wasn't coming to America.
Had no cussing. Had no real cussing in it. That's what we wanted.
Johnny,
Family
you hear
friendly
Eddie
version.
Murphy's coming back with a new Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes.
What is your initial thoughts? What are you thinking about?
Yo, I was excited.
Yeah?
You know what I'm saying? Beverly Hills Cops was one of the funniest early 90s movies that I've seen. At that time I was still learning a little bit of English, so putting a little bit of that Eddie Murphy swag in my English learning experience was definitely something that I liked about that movie, man. I mean, in the 90s, Eddie Murphy was just killing the game.
Man.
But what I like about the fact that it's coming back, you got a lot of the original cast in there as well. They look a little older, but I see a couple of them in there.
Yeah, they did that with Coming to America too.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. So I was a little skeptical, but I did say to Los yesterday, like, what's the last Eddie Murphy movie that comes to mind that you really liked? And he named a good one that was kind of recent.
So here's the thing, right? It's easy to forget how much work Eddie Murphy has been doing. He's actually been a lot more active than you would think. So, in 2023, he has 2 movies out, and one of them is a Disney Candy Cane Lane that just dropped, which is but I'm not into the Disney type of stuff. But he did drop. He was in You People earlier this year, which I thought was pretty funny.
Right on.
And prior to that, you mentioned Coming to America, which was just okay, but before that was Dolomite.
Yeah, so Dolomite was a good one. I liked that one.
Yeah.
And then I had seen one more recently, but it's from 2016 called Mr. Church. And it's more of a drama style movie, but it's an awesome flick, and I thought he killed the role. I thought he did great.
Word.
But in any case, we ended up going through the lineup and popping out some of Eddie Murphy's like top movies, and it was fun to recall.
My best one, if it comes to mind, is Metro.
Metro.
Don't sleep on Metro, man.
I don't know, man.
You sleeping on Metro?
Metro's mid. No, you know which one I really like that doesn't always get the props it deserves is Meet Dave, where he's like a spaceship.
Right.
Meet Dave is awesome. And it's funny as hell.
It's funny as hell. He kills that performance.
You know what's really funny? You ever seen the one called Showtime with him and De Niro?
Oh,
Yep,
Showtime and Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Yo, that shit's hilarious.
That's a good one.
Showtime with De Niro,
Yeah.
and then
Mid 2000s Eddie Murphy
I did.
actually did have a lot of bangers because also
Yeah.
I Spy was really good.
I Spy was good.
Bowfinger is still.
Absolute classic.
What's the one he's in outer space?
Outer space.
I forgot the
Is this super old?
no. It's like no. It's like
Pluto Nash.
Pluto Nash.
Pluto Nash. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Pluto Nash. Fuck with Pluto Nash too.
Yep. And then you got, like, a lot of people like Norbit. I think Norbit's okay. Holy Man is one that I really rock with that less people rock with.
You thought Norbit was okay?
I thought it was okay.
Really, Norbit?
A lot of people love Norbit.
I'm one of them, bro.
Yeah,
like
see?
I was fucking
I know.
dying in that shit. The turkey ass.
Yeah, it's got some fire in it. It does.
Oh,
And Life.
shit.
Oh, Life. Martin and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I mean,
That's one that's great. And then you go back to the 80s and you've got, like, The Golden Child.
Trading
24
Places.
48 Hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Boomerang.
Sure. Oh, Boomerang. No, now honestly, like I was joking with Metro because I know that was gonna be the reaction I wanted was just like what I wanted. But yeah, yo, Boomerang is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie,
The one.
hands down. I feel like that's what I want to accomplish in life. Like now, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of lifestyle.
Wait.
Single dude, great job, bad bitches all around.
I mean, and
Hammer Time Toes.
One
you gotta
thing-
go.
Oh yeah, Hammer Time Toes.
one thing we're not mentioning, and I said before, I'm not a Disney fan, but he's in every Shrek.
Oh
Yeah, I think the Shrek
donkey.
paychecks are why we haven't seen him in more adult fare for so long. Because
it?
you go from like 2008 to 2016, there's
Right.
nothing in that lane really. What Mr. Church, I think that's
Okay.
not like that. The Haunted Mansion, but
that
then
was
you
cool.
get more. When you get to 2019, you finally have Dolomite, and now he's
Yeah.
doing some extra projects with Netflix, and that seems like the best projects he's had recently. So that gives me hope for Beverly Hills Cop, but I'm also not going to hold my breath or get my hopes too high because Netflix hit or miss.
Netflix,
Bringing back these old
yeah, man.
properties also hit or miss. So
Right,
we'll
right.
see.
Yeah, Netflix in general. Props to Netflix for taking risks, I think, with a lot of the stuff that they put out. But there's a lot of disappointment in those too.
Even with superstar actors in that shit. How was that Reptile?
Reptile?
There's a Reptile. It's like the detective joint.
I didn't know.
Chameleon? was
Chameleon
it?
or something like that. Is
I
it-
thought I really couldn't get into it and turned it
Yeah.
off. I'm not gonna lie.
Right,
But
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
not really my pace of movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not. For
What's
my
the other
attention
one you
span.
wanted to talk about?
Oh, so the one that came out recently that like crazy star-studded cast. A lot of people have talked about it a little bit, and for me, I thought it was a really good movie, but I didn't like that it left the ending so ambiguous and so like almost randomly in there. Was Leave the World Behind. And I talked to both of you guys, watched it. I know some of the rest of my family watched it and talked to me about it, some of my friends. And I think the value of it was it ends in the middle of the damn movie, so everybody's got a theory about what was really going on, which was entertaining. But for me, I was very annoyed because it was a great movie. I was really into it. I thought the characters were compelling.
Word.
Some of the actors played a little against role. Like Julia Roberts is usually likable. She's basically a Karen in this movie.
Yeah, she was super different.
But they did a good job with everything, and then
The ending was just like
spoiler alert, the end they see some serious chaos, but don't give you any type of explanation of why it happened, what's gonna happen next.
This is the thing, yo.
Besides,
I feel like Netflix really struggles with a conclusion. Like they'll start off hard hitting with the movie, and then when they trying to end it, it's like where they just run out of juice and shit. Like when they try to give that ending to you, it's just like you're like, damn, Netflix.
because of the binge watch model, all their episodes end in the middle of some
Yeah,
action
you know
to
what
get
I'm
you to
saying?
start the next episode. They just they did the same shit here, man.
Because that could have gone either way. There's a lot of different ways that story could have turned. It could have turned to a horror. It could have turned to some other shit, some more in-depth conspiracy. But I don't know.
They hit they tried to please everyone. I feel like they gave you like, so if you haven't watched it, fast forward past this segment.
Yeah, man.
But we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers, but they give you a bunch of different explanations. And essentially, I read some of the the writer, the guy who wrote the book, I read some of his comments on it. And he said basically it's because that's what would really be going on. The people in these places would have their own theories for what's happening, but it's not like a clear explanation from any of them. You're not supposed to take any of them as being like absolutely right on what's happening.
Right. So, Johnny, you like the ending?
No, I did not. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but I understood it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's elements of the movie that makes the ending make sense, but some of the things that were happening, from the airplane crashing, you know what I'm saying, to the disease, I was hoping something a little bit more spicy. You know what I'm saying?
Right? The animals, is what really
the animals giving you the alert. I thought it was going to be spicy at the end. To be honest,
here's my main problem with it. Right, even with what you were saying with the author. Right, so okay, that everybody's going to have their own opinion about it, but you painted the movie in 75 directions and didn't give any closure to really any of it.
No, right on.
We got some space shit going on the moon.
Yeah.
We got some thing affecting the animals, and they're rolling all up on one specific girl. And then you got...
She happens to be African-American.
Now, the interview that I have of the director, he actually gets asked this question about that. Like, why end it like that without something? So they said, why was it important to not give the audience the closure at the end of seeing the families reunited in the bunker? By the way, this is from Variety, so if you look up Variety in the movie, you'll find this interview. But he said, this is his response, wouldn't that be so dissatisfying? It's a film that respects you as a viewer enough to not provide that. In that final scene between Julia and Myhala, they don't embrace. Even prior to that, when they're in that little shed and come to a detente, Ruth acknowledges that there's some truth to the things that Amanda has said, that they're in agreement about something, but it doesn't end with a hug. It's not that kind of story. I have no problem with like a big disaster movie that saves the 6 or 8 principals and reunites them in the aftermath of a disaster and allows you to be like, well, everything's going to be okay. I just don't think this is that kind of film. And I feel like that's a goddamn dodge, because he knows what they really want is, give us some direction for what's going on here. Why are there flamingos in the pool, sir?
What the fuck?
Why are there flamingos in the pool?
I just, listen, you, in an attempt to be, confusing? I mean...
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan and us?
Iranian pamphlets, apparently. Kevin Bacon shows up with a shotgun to say it's Koreans.
It's not that. Look, it's not that everybody's got a different opinion. So what? And nobody cares about happy ending in the bunker with the family. What the fuck was going on with the moon?
Yeah.
Why were the animals acting that way? Was it something to do with radio waves, satellite issues? What was it a natural thing? Was it supernatural?
And when the power goes out, why does everybody just start bombing the city?
And
I don't
who was
get why.
attacking
Who's dropping?
the
Who's
city
jetting
anyway?
in?
Was it the Koreans after all? Was it aliens?
Yep. And there was that whole story about his rich friend who was just like, take care, and he didn't like the tone of his voice. So maybe that guy was really part of a cabal and flew away. They give you all these angles, and I think it's great because it gets the type of engagement that they want, which is us coming on here, talk about all the different theories, and even though we're annoyed at the ending, we're talking about it. And also, all the actors are great. Ethan Hawke, Mahershala Ali, Julia Roberts.
Yeah, and let me say this for people watching this. I actually enjoyed the film, and I thought the actors all killed it, but I thought it was intentionally confusing. And at the end, it was like, all right, they're not going to give me any of it. Okay.
It's one of those movies that, you have to, it's messed up, because what the movie makes you do is pay attention real closely throughout. So you stay focused on it, hoping that you get that climax, that ending that you deserve. At least exactly that, like one element. The flamingos, the planes, what the fuck? Give me something, you know what I'm saying? Don't just leave me out there to figure shit out myself.
Man.
Too far out,
Well, so far out that anything can be the right answer, I could probably sell you on any theory off of that.
You already got
so
M. Night Shyamalan confusing us to death. You gonna add this shit to it as well.
Yeah, so let's move it. Let's move it along. I got one other story I want to talk about in the entertainment field. Many of you guys out there probably have seen these before. This is related to NPR's Tiny Desk concerts, and the story I'm going to refer to here is out of Hip Hop DX, but this is regarding rapper Scarface. And I'm a big Scarface fan.
ATL
has been a legend in the hip hop world for years. You know, being old school, you're gonna know this stuff. But Scarface, he recorded the Tiny Desk concert, and it's being released this coming Monday on the 18th. And so here's where the story picks up. Right, Scarface's upcoming NPR Tiny Desk concert has been called the best hip hop Tiny Desk concert ever, ahead of its release on Monday, December 18th. On X, formerly known as Twitter, Tiny Desk producer DJ Cousin B got fans hyped by writing, "I just watched an edit of Scarface Tiny Desk. Yeah, it's the best hip-hop Tiny Desk we've ever put out. That's new crown holder."
That's a big statement.
That's a huge statement.
There have been some really good Tiny Desk performances.
Yeah, when I think about Tiny Desk,
Migos.
they do such a great job. It's such an intimate, live way to watch your favorite artists.
Word.
And I've seen
live bands.
I've seen artists do amazing on there, and I've seen some other artists do but some of the standouts to me is Mac Miller's performance.
Miller's is one of the greatest.
Loved it.
Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane loved it. Action Bronson.
I thought Action Bronson had a recent one where I thought he let the band shine so heavy on it and killing it, where I was like appreciating Alchemist even more after watching it because I knew some of the tracks from Alchemist production.
I think what's his name? Anderson .Paak, is it?
Yeah, Anderson .Paak killed it.
He had one of the a 25-30 minute just absolute concert that was amazing.
Yeah,
so anyway, hold
on. If I wanted to throw in there, forget about the gang. Migos did a dope,
Migos,
super dope.
Can't forget about Migos.
All day.
MCs shine in that format.
If you
it's
think
a format where you can
rapping,
really control a room.
Boys of the truth.
So
who was Wu-Tang had a really good? Was it GZA?
GZA did one that was okay.
Really good. He did Liquid Swords basically. Tracks.
Yeah, great. I thought RZA did a pretty good job. But to hear Scarface is supposedly having the best, it's amazing to me for a few reasons, right?
Okay.
We've been recently talking about this era of hip hop where the OGs are shining.
Right on.
And it's something about the live performances. I was mentioning this.
Yeah.
And when you think about Scarface, something that is like a real standout is his voice, man.
Right.
Scarface's voice is so unique. And I just imagine him, on that mic with that voice. So I'm so excited and anxious to see what's going to go down on Monday.
Word.
But it's another example of an OG having a shining moment. And I haven't seen it yet, but we'll see Monday.
Hope he kills it.
Considered the best hip hop performance on there. So
yeah, that's something
shout
to look
out
forward
to Scarface, man.
Now, it wouldn't be TFP if we weren't trying to drop at least some knowledge along the way and talk about some interesting political stories coming out. And I always get curious about political priorities. And in this case, I'm looking at one of the dumb things that causes controversy every year. Okay. So the title of this article from Salon is "An Iowa Fight Over a Satanic Display Reminds Us Republicans Believe Free Speech is Only for Them."
Whoa.
And this is about basically a yearly issue that happens where the Christian right gets into beef with trolls from the left and from, not even from the left, just trolls from the Satanic Temple, because the religious right likes to put up Christian images and statues in Capitol buildings.
Okay.
And the reason they're allowed to do that despite separation of church and state is because the Supreme Court created a loophole by arguing that as long as every group gets to have one, it doesn't violate the no establishment of religion clause. So if the Christians want to put up a statue, they can because everyone else is allowed. So the Satanic Temple's like, all right, then we're putting up some Baphomets. We're dropping some Lucifers in this bitch. And then they get mad about it. So it causes beef every year. So
it's hilarious. This goes on. This
has happened repeatedly throughout my adult life. But yeah, so quoting from the article, so he says, it's hardened into a ritual because both sides get something out of it. The fundamentalists get a chance to freak out and use this as evidence for their lurid conspiracy theories, claiming demonic forces are out to get them. The Satanists and their fans get a chance to remind everyone that Republicans are hypocrites who never really believed all that free speech talk. This year, the annual rite is playing out in Iowa, where the Satanists have antagonized the Christians with a goat's head wreath in the Des Moines Capitol building. So, you know, there's always a new image. There's always something new to fight over. But in this case, people keep pointing to all of the free speech arguments that were being made for all types of crazy shit during the Trump administration, how some of these people who are avid reporters of Trump are now like, take that statue down, you know? And it's like, I always find it interesting, but I also just think it's one of those things where it's a distraction from actual real issues that people could be arguing about and trying to resolve and trying to help. Right. But instead, we got to have meetings in the state building over, you know, because some trolls put a statue of Baphomet up next to your 10 Commandments. Take the 10 Commandments down too. Take the Baphomet down, or you know, because that's what the Supreme Court said.
Resolve.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the part though, right? That both sides get something out of it. So this circle of a joke continues,
and all they get out of it really is attention. It's just a game for attention. It's the most childish, petty nonsense. But that's a political issue as opposed to, I don't know.
Yeah, but see, the
roads.
Here's the thing,
fixing
right?
roads and shit.
It's a child and petty thing when we start to say like, oh, the temple of Satan is proving these guys to be hypocrites and morons with this stuff. You know, they're just unserious people. But for these people, putting their 10 Commandment plaque in a courthouse is the right absolute thing to do. It's like breathing air.
You think about
okay. That's normal.
Yeah, they stand on business.
The new Speaker of the House is like on some heavy duty religious stuff.
Oh, God sent him.
Like God sent me. He's the reason
God sent him. God sent Trump. God sent
he
Republicans.
Speaks in very theocratic terms. And so I just want to pull out a little more from this just to point out, as many people pointed out, Republicans have defended genocidal and violent rhetoric for years now under the guise of free speech.
Whoa.
Trump's unsettled calls for violence against his perceived enemies have led to an attempted murder of the husband of Rep. Nancy Pelosi, threats against government employees and even private citizens, and of course, the insurrection of January 6, 2021. Dehumanizing rhetoric against Black Lives Matter protesters and Great Replacement theory have led to mass murders, shootings, and conservatives crashing cars into protests.
Damn it.
But when liberals call for social media companies to curb ugly rhetoric using their legal powers to self-regulate, a chorus of right-wing whining about cancel culture erupts. We do not need to litigate how real the threat of campus anti-Semitism is in order to see how Republicans use tensions over hate speech and the First Amendment to advance their free speech for me, but not for the agenda. The satanic altar at Iowa State Capitol showcases the same GOP bad faith, but at least with some levity. So instead of pointing to all these really dark examples, this is like the dark example of, if you're going to do that whole my religion has to be here, then the people that are worshiping some shit that offends you, they also get to put their religious iconography up.
Yeah, they crazy shit up.
Yeah, it's what's embarrassing is, like we said, this is a cycle. It happens. It's how many times since you've been adult have we seen the
go back and forth?
And the sad part is their statues are way cooler.
Yeah, you know, they always got some cool badass looking creature.
They got some like head with a like half human body, half like freaking, I don't know, with horns sticking out of it.
So hold on, they put this up at the church?
In the state building, Capitol building.
In the Capitol building, okay.
Yeah.
Basically, the church wants to put their monuments up.
Oh, okay.
And instead of recognizing, listen, this is not a place for religion, they made an exception and said, okay, you can put it here. It's cool. Anybody can put theirs up. So the Satan Church came over and said, anybody can put it up. here's this big statue of Baphomet.
Oh,
And pissed them off. And they're like, you got to take that down. And they're like, we got to take it down. Then you got to take yours down.
Oh,
that's basically how this goes.
And all it was and it's just trolling because the Supreme Court just wanted to make a little excuse so that they could have their statues. And these guys were like, well, if you're going to do that, let's do this.
We're going ham with the statue.
Yes. It's a funny story.
It is. It's a lighter one, but
That's
but
cool.
then when I talk about priorities, I also want to talk about how there are other times where this pettiness and Supreme Court stupidity can cause real world issues that are very frustrating to hear about. So I did want to throw to your story that you've got about the victory fund.
This story was very interesting to me. I saw a post on Instagram or TikTok or something, and the story it jumped out at me, so I started researching a little bit onto it. And let me just jump right into it because this one is nuts. Yeah. But check this out: the Fearless Fund suit is heating up in Atlanta's 11th Circuit. A panel of 3 appellate judges on Saturday temporarily blocked Fearless Fund from awarding its $20,000 Fearless Strivers grant to black women entrepreneurs as the lawsuit filed against it makes its way through courts. The American Alliance for Equal Rights, AAER, led by Edward Bloom, who was behind the efforts to overturn the affirmative action, sued Fearless Fund in August, alleging that its Strivers Grant program discriminates against non-black women. Judge Robert Luck and Andrew Brasher, both appointed by Donald Trump, agreed with the AAER, calling the grant racially exclusionary, and said it violated Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which barred racial discrimination in contracts. But another judge, Judge Charles Wilson, who was appointed by Bill Clinton, dissented and criticized AAER for weaponizing the Civil Rights Act of 1866 as it was initially targeted to help the formerly enslaved. AAER fails as an organization bringing a Section 1981 claim on behalf of white members, the inclusion of Asian business owners, while a racial minority does not cure the inclusion of white business owners, Wilson wrote in his dissent. So, very interesting case here. But this dude, Edward Bloom, who helped overturn the affirmative action cases with schools and stuff, he's the one going at this. And essentially what they're saying is that these black capitalists who want to pool this money to help these black business women grow, they can't do that because that's a racial thing now. Okay. It's racially biased against non-black folk. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. How do you feel about that? Is he correct? Does he have a point here? It's kind of against what the objective of this whole thing is, which is to help catch these people up from a system that had them held behind. So, by every right, I think they should be able to go ahead and do this. But do they have a leg to stand on with the counter?
Not really. I don't think so, just because I think the whole point of these regulations were to help these minority groups that had been discriminated against so that they couldn't continue to be discriminated against. There's no danger of discrimination against white people to get those sorts of loans, funds, or anything to get their businesses started. We see it in all the numbers, so we understand that white people don't have as much trouble getting loans as black people or any other people of color. And, it has a range across those different, nationalities. But either way, having something that specifically supports people who there is still evidence of discrimination going on today, it makes sense to be able to do that. And I also think it makes sense that a couple of Trump judges would weaponize the Civil Rights Act in a manner like this.
Yeah, and, not for nothing, but on its face, when I look at it, I think this is a fucking asshole who wants to do everything he can to stop black people and minorities, probably in general, from having any help or benefit or advantage in anything, just to hold it back. And, that got me thinking about another story, which I had bumped into about some black neighborhoods that had run down buildings everywhere. And the specific story that I was watching at the time was the whole town was owned by like 2 or 3 different investors who happened to be white guys that didn't live there, bought up all those abandoned properties and left them like that, specifically intentional to keep that property value down for everyone else in the community.
That way
and
they could
keep
buy
the neighborhood looking like shit.
That way they could later buy the rest of the property. Is that
They made money off it somehow. I don't remember the mechanism, the way they did it, but it was completely intentional that they kept the community looking run down and trashed out. So.
Yeah, and then you see things like what they did, where they decided to to run interstates through, or just examples from redlining is just every story of redlining. You could also find examples. Donald Trump and his father were literally pled guilty to discrimination against people of color with their housing.
It's like a smack in the face, right? To use the Civil Rights Act for this manner. So is it me? Am I taking this wrong?
Terrible.
Am I understanding this wrong? It seems like a smack in the face. But then that's why I was asking, do they have a leg to stand on?
And then there's this whole
I don't know.
If we make judgments, it has to be the original intention of the writers is one of the things they'll use when it comes to the original Constitution. But when something like the Civil Rights Act, which needed to be written in that time, when the intentions of that are obviously being mutated for their reasons, then that's fine now. I just think there's a weirdness in the way right-wing judges have handled everything for a while, and that goes back way before Trump appointees, but to just the Federalist Society. But either way, it's just a mess.
Exactly, man. It's just like myself, jhanboom, there's a lot of stuff going on in this topic, but one word that stands out: discrimination. jhanboom ain't with none of the discriminating. It's, for example, right, just to throw a little something in there, go right back to it. Right now in our cul-de-sac, we have a little bit of a situation going on because it is the
Christmas light sky, right?
The Christmas light sky. We are all contributing a little bit. Everyone on their house is putting Christmas lights on, making the cul-de-sac look real nice and Christmas friendly if you want to walk around the cul-de-sac. But this house to the left refuses to put lights on, even a little something. So.
What if somebody offered to put up Christmas lights for them? Maybe
I
it's
think
like,
they just don't,
a dude with injury.
Now, how do you know, though, that it's not like a guy who does not celebrate Christmas?
Well, this is the thing. We don't know, but look, my house, right? Our crib, we don't want to be left out. Of the Christmas ornaments. We didn't used to have them before. My landlord said, you know what, man? Everybody doing it. He literally spoke to me. He said, you know what, John? Everybody's doing it. We should do a little something. I'm like, bro, whatever, man.
Do you?
So he started putting Christmas lights up in our house, in the crib. So when you pull up to the cul-de-sac, we can transition with the rest of the homes correctly. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. So this person should be aware of the cul-de-sac rules, but they're not applying.
They're not feeling the pressure.
They're not feeling it.
Do you feel discriminated against?
We feel discriminating, but it's their own rights. I can't go over there and tell them, hey, I bought you a box of lights, put your shits on.
I mean, are you a citizen?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, citizen boom.
Citizen boom. So just, a little something towards discrimination.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen. I don't know really how that ties into discrimination, but there is a way out of this, right? You wait till you see him drive away, and then you and your neighbor, you run over and you just light up his house. Decorate him out.
And then you put like, surprise, we put up Christmas lights.
From your loving neighbors.
The only problem with that, the next month, they're going to surprise us with their PSC&G bill and be like, surprise, pay half of this shit.
Could be.
But you know what it is? I am trying to grab him because the dude is a younger dude, and he always sees me in the front puffing it down. So when he sees me, when he pulls up, he'll be like, yo, what's up? So next time I see him pull up, I'm like, yo, why you ain't got no Christmas lights on?
Yeah, you get a little something. It doesn't have to be big, right? He can just put out a little snowman. I don't want to
feel stupid and be like, he's like, yo, you know what we do? We usually put it up a couple days before so we can take it down fast. I'm like, damn. Yeah, he's like, yeah, look, I just came to get some lights, and then I feel like an asshole.
He pulls the box of lights out right there.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? We was about to, and then, so we're going to see.
All right. Well, listen.
Sagas continue.
The drama out in Lodi needs to be known.
Christmas light stories are crazy. Discrimination is an issue. But this particular story for the Fearless Fund, I hope that this goes the right way and these ladies, these investors are allowed to help these other black business owners and invest in their own community.
Word.
There's plenty of investment outside of their community. They need it inside of their community. So I hope this goes through and works for them.
Hell yeah.
And with that said, let's let it ride.
Can you dig it?
So I got one more story. I want to bring some science into this.
Let's get
I
it.
found one that was crazy, kind of blew my mind, and also has already led to more research. So this is from UCL News. That's University College London News. Human brain cells in a dish learn to play Pong. A team of researchers at UCL put a culture of brain cells on a microelectrode array and got the brain cells to play a version of Pong. So a microelectrode array was I had to look that up. I'm not a scientist. I'm going to do my best to synthesize this. But it just looks like a little chip almost with little pokers sticking out. And I guess they put a culture of, let's see, we'll take it straight out of the article. In the experiment outlined in Neuron, researchers took 800,000 brain cells from both embryonic mice and human brain cells derived from stem cells. They then grew them on top of microelectrode arrays that could both stimulate and read their activity. Electrodes on the left or right of one array were then fired to tell a small number of neurons in the dish brain which side the ball was on, while distance from the paddle was indicated by the frequency of signals. Feedback from the electrodes enabled dish brain to learn how to return the ball by making the cells act as if they themselves were the paddle, and in consequence, moving the panel in their simulated world. So, like, this is some crazy-ish to me, but what makes it big in the, discovery side of things is the fact that the dish brain, these cells are acting in a meaningful manner. Like there's a meaning behind what they're doing.
Yeah, so they're essentially playing ping pong, right, back and forth.
Yeah, they are playing ping pong in a petri dish. Just brain cells playing ping pong. So, just another quote. Although microelectrode arrays have previously been used to read the brain activity of cells, or the activity of brain cells, this is the first time that scientists have been able to use them to stimulate neurons in a structured way to produce responses that are realized in terms of meaningful behavior. So to quote Professor Carrie Friston, who worked on it, the beautiful and pioneering aspect of this work rests on equipping the neurons with sensations, the feedback, and crucially the ability to act on their world. So like they're acting and getting a reaction, and one of the crazy things is they don't have the type of reward punishment sensors that like a human or an animal would have, so you don't train them that way, but they're still managing to get these synapses to fire and react in certain ways.
That's so crazy.
It's got big implications for potential studies and stuff. So reading from the article again, by building a living model brain from basic structures in this way, scientists hope to be able to experiment using real brain function rather than equivalent models made on a computer. So you don't have to use computer models of a brain to see what these reactions are. You also don't have to do animal testing or other types of testing on brain behavior to test drugs potentially. So Friston says the unique opportunity here is to see how the drug affects neurotransmission at a synaptic level, and crucially, how this translates into behavior. So like what the article goes into is how, next time maybe they'll get it drunk and see how the ping pong game goes with drunk brain cells without, just purely on that. But they could also translate that to treatments for things like Parkinson's disease and test things in this petri dish. Or it could expand that way.
I think what they should do, instead of getting it drunk, which is everybody's first inclination.
Wait, can we get this petri dish drunk now?
I think they should take it out for a little sunning, maybe some grounding, a little morning breath work, possibly a cold plunge, and then see how it does with the Pong. Let's see what happens after that.
Sharp.
Doesn't sound bad to me.
That was one thing. It did get more efficient as it went along in the article. It gets better at making the Pong game happen too. So there's all these different weird signs. And this is a year old. This same research team came out with more stuff. They built like almost the equivalent of a chip, and they're creating AI using these these brain dish chip things that they're creating. But it was so complicated that I just wanted to take my time and actually try to read it and see if I'm getting any of that right when I say it, because It sounds like that to me, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know neurons like that. And it just sounded crazy. But essentially, these things were recognizing auditory language was one of the things they mentioned. They could recognize different voices. I was like, how do they know it's recognizing things? What is going on? So I got to read the study on that one and see if I can kind of make heads or tails of any of it or find somebody
This wasn't
that can.
on The Onion, right? Or something?
Nope, UCL, bro, University College London. And Neuron is a major publication, and I forget the other one was I think it was a Nature journal. So it was real academic journals producing this, which is why it got my attention. Like, what?
Very, very interesting story.
For the streets.
Now let's teach it to play Battleship next, perhaps.
Hey.
I wonder what else we can teach the Petri dish to play. And would you watch on TV, like sports, Petri dish battles?
Well, that's what I was going to say. As soon as you can start betting on these games, it's over.
The investment in Petri dish
Petri Pong.
Petri Pong is going to be the one. It's definitely going to be more entertaining than
Drunk
the
Petri
slap
Pong.
league, bro.
Whoa.
Petri Pong.
Yeah, and then
Next level of sports.
this one was with
like-
rat stem cells. What if they include human brain cells and, ape cells? Does that change the equation?
Now we're getting
I
aggressive.
bet that doesn't work at all, but, scientists can explain it to me.
I don't know. What if, I'm just thinking, like, what if they use, like, steroids or something?
Yeah.
Steroids, monkeys, drugs, man.
HGH,
we got fucking another Caesar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our scientific scoop for the show.
Gotta get one of them in.
I think that's gonna be it. We're gonna wrap it up. And
You got 2 ticks? You got 2 seconds still on the program?
Oh,
I'm gonna throw a quick shout out.
That's right.
Pow, pow, pow.
Let's bring it back in.
Yo, I want to give a special shout out to my cousin, Domino's El Leader. He just dropped a new reggaeton tune. Man, this shit is hot. It's called Comparar. It starts with a C, man. I forgot the name of it, but yo, the song is popping. Shout out to El Domino's El Leader, man. We got you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing your thing.
There you go.
Good shit, bro.
Can you dig it?
Listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.